Okay, welcome back to part two of Ready Lesson 21 for 8th grade, Analyzing Elements of Modern Fiction. So we just finished reading Mulan's Ballad and we finished the chart for it, and now we're going to be reading Helmeted Hero. So before we read, let's look at the closed reading. It says, what aspects of the Mulan tale has the author drawn on? Underline details about theme, story events, and character types in the text. Then complete the Helmeted Hero column in the chart on page 220. So let's go ahead and let's read the realistic fiction Helmeted Hero. Eric sighed as Tony Rogers limped off the field. The Badgers were down by 3 points with seconds left, and now they were down a man as well. Despite losing his best player, Eric refused to admit defeat to the Barbarians, so he called the last play. The center snapped the ball, and as Eric fell back to pass, he saw an open receiver on the field wearing Tony's uniform, complete with Rogers and 38 on the back. With no time to think, Eric threw the ball and watched the guy take off to the 30-yard line, the 20, the 10, touchdown! Hollering with joy, Eric rushed toward his team's newest hero. But as he grew closer, Eric gasped. The player confirmed his suspicions by removing his helmet to reveal the grinning face of Tony's sister, Julia. So let's go ahead and let's do what the closed reader was asking for us. Remember that the closed reader wanted us to underline details about theme, story events, and character types in the text. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pen tool and I'm going to look for important details. Now, in the very beginning, I see that the Badgers were down by 3 points. That is an important detail to the plot. And we also know that they were down a man as well. This is also important to the plot. Now, we learn a little bit about Eric here. He says that he refuses to admit defeat to the barbarians, so we learn a little bit about his character there. And another plot point was that he saw an open receiver on the field wearing Tony's uniform. Even though we can assume it wasn't Tony since Tony had just limped off the field. Then Eric threw the ball and watched that person take off. He rushed towards his team's newest hero, and then eventually, by removing the helmet, we realize that it's actually Julia. So these are all the important details that you would want to underline. So now let's go down to the question. Actually, before we go to the question, let's go back to the chart. So in Helmeted Hero, we have a very similar elements of themes, pattern of events, and character types. So we're going to try to fill in what these are, and you're going to notice that there are a ton of similarities between Mulan's Ballad and Helmeted Hero. Now, if you look, the theme that we originally put for Mulan's Ballad was women can succeed in traditionally male roles, putting oneself in danger to help the family. Now, one possible theme here is that women still can do things that are traditionally completed by men. So women can succeed in traditionally male roles. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to type that in. Oops. Starting with a new. Okay, so women can succeed in traditionally male roles. Now, Julia does not put herself in danger, so that is not in order to help her family, so that would not be a similar theme. But we do see that they do share one theme. Now, in the pattern of events, we see that Eric's team is down a player, so we're going to go ahead and put that in. We're going to bullet point this one. So, let's change the color. Okay, so let's try that again. Eric's team is down a player. We also learn that an unfamiliar figure helps them win the game. And finally, we realize that the player is a girl, Julia. And then in regards to character types, we still see a strong, fearless heroine who, in this case, instead of them being a great warrior, they are a great football player. So strong, fearless heroine who is a great football player. Okay, so now that we filled out this chart, we can go ahead and move on to the question at the bottom here. So it says, how does the author convey the same theme found in Mulan's story? So the hint says, how is the message suggested in Helmeted Hero similar to the message in the story of Mulan? Think about what the characters accomplish and how they accomplish it. So let's look at our options. A says the author creates a parallel between Eric's football team and the barbarians that invaded China to illustrate the dangers of battle. This doesn't quite make sense because they are not trying to draw a parallel between the two teams. So I would go ahead and say that answer A is not going to be our best answer choice. B says the author reimagines Mulan as Eric, a male football player who must win his game even though the odds are against him. Now, the author does reimagine Mulan, but not as Eric. It's more as Julia. So since that's not correct, I know that B is not going to be the best choice. C says the author makes Julia into the Mulan character to show that pretending to be someone else can have terrible consequences. Now, while the author does make Julia into the Mulan character, that part is true, she doesn't do it to pretend to be someone, to show the lesson that pretending to be someone else can have terrible consequences. That's not true. So C would not be our best answer choice. So that leaves us with D. The author features a female character who, like Mulan, overturns expectations about girls by proving her abilities. So this definitely fits the theme. So answer choice D would be the best choice because, as we had said earlier, our theme was that women can succeed in traditionally male roles, which is basically our answer choice D. Now let's look at the show you're thinking. It says, explain which parallels between the two texts help you choose your answer. Well, the two parallels we see is that Mulan is having to fight in a war that is traditionally for a male role, and she works her way up to general. So we see that she is succeeding in a traditionally male role, and we see Julia do the same by winning a football game. So let's go ahead and let's answer this question. So the parallels that are seen between both texts are shared within the theme of both texts. Both texts illustrate that women can succeed in traditionally male roles. Mulan becomes a general, and Julia wins the football game. Okay, so there is our answer. Go ahead and pause and write that in. Now let's go ahead and let's move on to the labyrinth. So we're going to actually read two stories, and we're going to use the study buddies and the closed read to guide us. Now, we're actually going to read this in part 3. So go ahead and look for the Ready Lesson 21 for 8th grade part 3 video and click on that. And in that one, we will be reading The Labyrinth.